So we have a level 243 Shadower, the title says. And then you updated it, so that's still accurate, right?
Yeah, I actually just hit 243 over the
Okay.
weekend, so everything's
Congrats.
good to go.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, thank you.
And how is it going with Shadower?
Love the class. It's good right now. I mean, with the bugs after post ignition, it feels terrible, just like with the miss weaving and
Yeah,
whatnot.
I
But
heard, yeah.
yeah, it's so bad. It's super clunky right now, but I'm just
Mhm.
hoping, eagerly reading each patch note, seeing if they fix it, but they're not. Yeah, but I mean, everything's good right now. Just grinding is good. Bossing is really good. I think right now what I'm working towards is just trying to get into. I guess like main goal right now is trying to get into hard lucid, hard will.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to get into one of those parties, but
Would this
yeah,
be
that's
the
like
first character you're doing those bosses with?
yeah. This is definitely this is my highest character right now, so like
Yeah.
it's the one I'm pushing the hardest, and so yeah,
Mhm.
would be the first time.
And you've done all the bosses like up until that point? Like
Yeah,
normal
yeah.
slime,
So
normal lucid.
hmm yeah, I mean I'm running normal lucids. Like I just always look for like smegas and like the
Yeah.
boss party menus.
Mm-hmm.
And then right now, I'm able to solo chaos. No, sorry, not chaos. I'm able to solo normal slime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I'm working on.
Okay.
Mhm.
Good. And how would you say you track your progress? Like, how do you feel? What do you check?
Yeah, for progress, I would say definitely bossing. I
Mhm.
think recently, like when I was able to solo normal slime, like I just looked up a quick video on like the mechanics and whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
and then when I jumped in and I finished it, like I was able to solo. I was like, oh damn, that's actually pretty impressive. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, definitely after that, then I was like, okay, maybe I could start like pushing into lucid, and then I like joined parties and like just being able to do that. So being able to like gradually go to the next boss is one way I definitely progress, or I see progression.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then redoing those bosses every week, and then they get just a little bit faster every week.
Yeah. So like I think there was like I forgot where I saw. I think watching one of your other progression sessions, you were talking about like doing like normal slime, and like how if you need to like, you know, what is it like extend the time so that your buffs or like your burst comes up. I was like
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
taking tips from that, and I was like, oh okay, yeah. So every week, yeah, I do see like it's getting like slightly faster, you know.
Yeah, and especially with the slime, if you could do it one burst faster, then it's 3 whole minutes, right? Because the test takes up a little bit too much time.
Oh yeah, before it was taking me like 3-4 tests, and I'm like, oh god, this is really
Mhm.
long.
Yeah.
But yeah, now it's like a solid like maybe 1 if I get lucky, 2 if it's very consistently 2.
And you get better at like blocking off the portals while you're not really losing too much damage.
Yeah,
You know
that
which
definitely that
rocks
too.
to look for, and you just like slam them in between instead of being like standing on a rock forever. Like, oh, why won't you go? Because you kind of know, you kind of have a better. You don't really need to look at the gauge anymore, right? Like you know when
Right, no, yeah.
you know when you can hit one and when you're just wasting time.
Yeah, there have been so many times where like I shoot the rock like in my first 2 runs or whatever, like I would shoot it the other direction. I'm like,
yeah,
oh
for
well,
sure. Yeah,
there it
completely
goes
off the map. Yeah,
off the map.
totally.
Yeah, so definitely getting a good feel for that. But
Mhm.
yeah, normal slime it's been a breeze.
Okay. So weekly boss income is good on this character, and you got like any mules doing some income there as well?
I have a hero at like 223, but I mean
Mhm.
I'm a very casual mapler.
Mhm.
Honestly, if anything, I put maybe like I would say maybe like an hour and a half to like 2 hours a day,
Mhm.
just daily is whatnot. Kind of just like doing whatever I need to, and then if it comes to weeklies, I mean always doing weeklies on Shadower, but the hero, it's like if I feel it, if it's like a good day, it's like
Yeah, you have the time.
yeah, I feel like doing it.
It's a Wednesday, so
Exactly.
did you feel it this week?
Nope, not at all. But definitely with Shining Starforce coming up, it's like I feel it. I'm like, I should definitely getting like extra income would be good. But
Yeah, it's that compounding income over a long period of time, right?
yeah, no, yeah,
It's
exactly.
like missing one day of Ursus is whatever, but if you calculate how much you make from Ursus if you run it, every single day for like 2 years, it's like, oh, this is like billions and billions and billions. Like,
Oh
this is,
yeah,
this is pretty
yeah.
important. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't ran Ursus in a while, but I just try to not to think about that. I was like, what's Ursus? It doesn't exist to me.
Yeah, I try to run it
No,
with the stream together, so that
yeah,
you have a little bit
I
of an
always see
excuse
that.
of doing something together.
Yeah, maybe I'll hop in today, 2 p.m. or whenever it is.
I usually run 2.5 hours from now.
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe I'll see you there. Okay, so progress. So weekly income, would you say is around what, 4 bill?
No, not. I think just doing weekly bosses on my main, it's probably like 1.5, 1.6 consistently.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I'm doing other bosses like on my hero or like my Nightwalker that I'm hyper burning, then it'll bump it up maybe like an extra bill or so.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Oh, yeah,
very like
if you don't do
yeah,
Ursus,
very slow. Yeah, no,
Ursus
yeah,
and Maple Tour is like a bill a week as well. If you do that,
mm,
it's basically like a boss
yeah.
meal that you don't have to fund, right? Because you already have your character.
No, yeah, that's true. But yeah, I think that just comes back to me just being a lazy mapler.
Just a lazy fuck. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you
Just
pick
like
your
whatever I
battles.
want to do. Mm-hmm.
There's some stuff that's just fun, and then you progress on that more. I mean, if you're training, you make money as well, right?
That's true. No, yeah.
I guess we're
But,
full.
no, yeah,
Are we totemless or?
No, I have 5 totems left on my. So my thought process before totems were yeeted from the game was I just bought like probably like 20-25 totems on my hyperburn, like my Nightwalker,
Mm-hmm.
and then I just put like an extra 5 on my main, just because I was thinking maybe get some mesos, get some training in. But now I'm kind of regretting that. I wish I had a little more totems on my Shadower, but
Yeah.
I mean I still have 5 more before like they expire on like the 15th of next month, so still got some time.
Mm-hmm. What does this character
But,
mean? Well, his name is Han, so it's it's a job for Han. It's a Han job,
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Like in the
It's
Fast
not
and Furious, it's Han,
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Not a name that goes against TOS. Nothing like that. No.
Chat, get your mind out of the gutter, Jesus.
Yeah, come on.
30k. Okay, so 30k. Okay, and so yeah, you mentioned you watch other progression sessions, so you're quite familiar with the basics, like with my commands, or do you have
Mm-hmm.
any questions
Yeah.
there?
No, I'm very, very well versed. I mean, I always pop into whenever I'm looking something, like be it off stream or whatnot. It's like, what is that thing that I'm looking for? And I just go into your chat and I just like type in the command. End up having your stream chat open for like a good 2 hours, and I look over and I just see other people popping in. It's like, it's kind of funny. But no, yeah, I'm pretty well versed with the commands, and everything I need is in your chat and the bots and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. What are other intro questions? Oh yeah, any big goals you have, or is it just the short term, trying to get into hard lucid, hard will, and then you kind of just see where you go?
I think no, yeah, just the short term. I think I realize the way that I play the game is more I set like short term goals or like just reachable goals, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, it's like if it's something I know that I can reach in like X amount of months or whatnot, it's like okay, yeah, I have the motivation to actually play the game and kind of work towards that. So yeah, right now it's just working on getting into hard will parties, and then working on gear and whatnot.
Okay. And is there do you have any inroads there through your guild maybe, or alliance, or?
I mean, I do have my guild. I mean, so I've like, we have like the guild Discord and whatnot, and
Mm-hmm.
I've applied for hard lucid at least, because I know for will you need to be 250. So I applied for hard lucid, but
It's preferable, yeah.
and yeah. But I've been ghosted 2 times, so I'm like, oh well, guess I'm just not good enough or just high enough level, I suppose. So I mean, that's why I've just been running lucid right now. So I guess yeah. So I mean,
too
the
many
roadmap,
better
I guess,
options than you. It feels a little bit
right,
bad.
essentially. No, exactly. And I'm like, guys, I'm 30k stat, please.
Yeah.
No, but yeah. So I mean, I guess like the idea I have in my head, or like the game plan I have, is like, oh well, I'm running lucid still, or
Mhm.
normal lucid, getting like 2 drops a week, 2 droplets,
Mm-hmm.
and then like I think right now I have 12 droplets. So in like another 6 weeks, like I'll get like the weapon. Hopefully then I can like prove I'm a worthy candidate for hard lucid at least. So
Yeah, your stat won't go up, but it might even go down. But damage output
right.
should go up quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's just like what I'm like banking on for like hopefully as a way of get like my ticket to into hard lucid, but
Okay.
we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if do you have any questions for me? I've never asked this before. You're first. There you go.
No, actually, I guess because Shining Starforce is coming up, maybe just
Yep.
in terms of like my gear and like what is like priority in terms of upgrade, because I
Yeah.
most of my gear is already like legendary,
Mm-hmm.
like 24% or 21%, but all 17 stars or maybe some 18 sprinkled in there.
Mm-hmm. City
So
shield. Yeah.
I guess yeah. So for like especially for Shining Starforce coming up, it's like what should be like my priority going into that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll definitely keep an eye on that. So usually what I like to do is just go through the screenshots a little bit to get like a little bit of an idea, and then usually check out all the other stuff. You said you have good, or you feel like you have good foundation, so we'll just try to tick off all those boxes real quick, and then we'll return to the equips and make sure. I just want to make sure that all the foundation is like exactly where I want it to be, so that all of the advice and stuff that I can give for the equips will not fall into deaf ears. Basically, that it will make sense. It'll all connect, right?
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense.
Okay, so I'm going to skip past the equips for now. And I can see your backups here, so I can already see if you're saving the right things, which it does look like it. Except for the Zakum belts. Why are you holding on to those?
So I guess I was thinking, well, I do have one superior belt, like one backup per se. My line of thought was for the Shining Starforces, maybe I can like use one of like the 140s, get it to 21, and then transfer it into the superior. But I do realize like that's like a bit, I guess, redundant in that like I do have a 17-star superior belt already, so it's like, would I risk just trying to star the belt that I have now at 17 with just one backup, or do I just play it safe, which might cost more money? But
yeah, well, one backup I wouldn't
that's
risk
why
it. It kind of depends on if you want to go to 20 or to 21. But I was talking more specifically the Zakum belts because if I'm not mistaken, they're level 150 as well, so you can't transfer hammer those guys over. Yeah, I believe it's a reinforced and a pink bean are the only 140s. As far as I remember,
you are right.
Yeah, just like the hats, right? They're also 150, so they don't have that functionality. So you can save a little bit of inventory space there.
2 extra space. That honestly, that will come in clutch. I'm like running tight.
I mean, you're gonna end up, if you see my inventory on my DA or something, it's a shit show in there. So anything you can actually get rid of is you take those. But yeah, all the other stuff you're saving looks good. I guess, yeah, if you have a lot of different types of belts in the beginning, that'll happen. But eventually, you just want to go for one type of belt, I would say. Just so that you can always transfer hammer over, right? It'll just make more sense that you can actually have all of those as backups, just to save some time. Getting to 0 to 12 again is just a little bit of waste of time. But if you don't have too many belts, it's okay to have multiple different types. Yeah, shield backups. I'm assuming you have a decent amount of recipes, so you could craft extras, right?
Yeah, I have a ton.
1500 Galax, okay. And then the earrings, I assume, is just for like drop rate gear, just to tap it up to 17 without having to safeguard.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking too. Well, actually, no, I was thinking for the superior Galax earrings, maybe just going straight to 21 on the ones that I have now, and then just since I do have like 5 backups, just maybe.
Are they all superior?
It doesn't boom.
Oh, these are reinforced.
Yeah. So all those 5, up there are superior, and then those 3 are just reinforced.
Yeah, exactly. So where for your belt, I would say it's too risky. I wouldn't do it there. If you have 5, then I would definitely try it. Yeah, because there's a very good chance you get it right on the item, and then you don't have to redo the pot, right?
Right.
So it saves the money, and it saves more money not having to do the transfer and that basically having to do an extra star.
Yeah.
So 5 is a good number. If you have like 2 or 3, then it's a little spooky, because then you could be like, okay, if you have 2s, like, do you do it on the item, and then if it doesn't go, then do you transfer hammer? But then if 20 to 21 also fails and that also booms, then you're left with nothing. It's like, yeah, you want to have that at least 3. So
Mm, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, or you push it down in the amount of upgrades that you're going to do on that day, you know, and then you just get the more secure upgrades out of the way first, and then if you're almost
Yeah.
out of money, you're like, well, I guess I'll wait until I have more belts next time, something like that.
Yeah.
Or if you have more than enough money, then you can be like, okay, well, since I have more than enough money, I'll just do the safe route because I have the money for it, kind of thing.
Right. So then you would recommend for the belt or like for the superior belt going with like the fodder, the 21 or 21 fodder?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'd gather some more ping bean belts. You can do normal every day, and you can do chaos once a week, right? So you should be able to get a decent amount of belts if you have your drop rate gear, which I assume you do. Or like a decent set of it. Yeah. So we'll circle back to that.
Sure.
To go into more detail. So I see familiars here. Do you have any questions on familiars?
How do you do it without mental boom? Man, it's been so tough.
Just assume that it's gonna fail, okay? Then you can either be right or you could be pleasantly surprised. That's how I do it.
Honestly, that's the mental. That makes sense.
That's the positivity and pessimism.
I like that. I'm gonna adopt that. But I guess for familiars, I've been training right now in my brain spiders, Esfera. Would it make sense to stay there for familiar? Because this is something like I've been trying to like figure out myself. But it's like, do I want to stay there to also, you know, train and get levels and familiars as well, or should I just go straight into Celis and just try to push to like 250 or 245? 245. Like,
yeah,
what
245 and then
optimal?
Moonbridge. Usually, so some people are like, I know that I want to get really good familiars, so I almost don't want to level too quickly. Like you'll have the equivalent of people actually training on Kanas, you know, without EXP coupons because they want to get the most resources possible at the lower levels before they reach there. And this is like a light version of that where you don't want to go all the way up necessarily too fast. I think what I would let it determine by is just do like a BA in like both the areas and see how big the difference actually is. And is it like, okay, I make like 1% more an hour or something, but I get no familiar cards? Fuck that, you know, I want the cards instead. Or if it's like, you know, 50% more, then you're like, okay, you know, now if I really want to push the levels, it'd make more sense to go Celis to 245 and then just get familiars from then on out, and it's not a big loss. And if you could be like, okay, the next 10 hours I don't get familiars or something like that, and then I can get familiars, you know, the whole time. Or that's what I would. So basically give yourself more information to base that that decision on, is what I would say.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Definitely got to do that then.
He filled up the advanced night B here. I guess it's a lot of familiars you could have extracted instead and gotten some energy for.
That was from that was definitely like
level 170.
Before I knew how this familiar system. So I actually had, before the advanced night B, I had like the mob from Fez. I forgot the stone one.
Yeah.
I filled it up and I was like, you know, it was also like IED. So I was like, oh, if I upgrade it, it'll go up. Upgrade it and it's gone. I'm like, oh, well, there goes my my one IED. Yeah, and so
live and you learn.
Eventually got like better ones. So it's, you live and you learn.
Yeah, is that expressly mentioned in the familiar guide? Is that something like?
I don't think I had looked at your familiar guide at that point yet, but yeah, maybe definitely something to mention, because I think losing like God forbid someone does that on like an item drop one, you know, and they lose that would be rough. But
familiar have 2 familiar potentials. Should be under familiar potential, right? Once revealed, the only way to reset the potential is to rank up. This is not advised until you already have 3 or more. These are really good. And tearing up. Hope that's
Nice.
clear enough. Yeah. Lost my
That'll-
first
that'll
large drop.
definitely
Yeah,
save-
someone in chat had the large drop. He was like, "Oh, I want an even larger drop." I was like, "Oh, well, nope, that's not how that works."
Well, we will now save many other people before.
If it
after
saves
us
even
now.
one person, it's worth the addition. Yeah.
Job well done at that point,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah. But yeah, any other questions with familiars? Yeah, the main thing is going to be like how far do you push on it? That's a little bit ethereal right now. Like it'll depend once you get into the 250s, into 260s, and then you're like, okay, I have some decent familiars now, and my character is really strong, and I can actually train in Cernium. Then you have the option. But if you're like, okay, I need to be at least 265, 270 because of Sacred Power and all of that, then you have more time to get those familiars, and then you just reassess at that point. Like, okay, am I happy with my familiar situation? For me, it was like I need 15 levels fast, so I need to get highest area as fast as possible for Black Mage kind of thing.
Right.
And Totem. So
I guess since I'm still, I'm sorry.
No, go for it. Yeah.
No, yeah, but since I'm still like 243, like it's not too much of a rush yet for me. Okay, got you.
And totems are going to run out, so at that point, a lot of the areas, like rate-wise, will get a lot closer together.
That
But
makes sense, yeah.
trading in Grandis off totems is going to be really weird going in there because the maps, the small maps, you won't be able to kill the monsters, and you won't be able to keep up with the spawn until you have the Sacred Power. And then when you do, you have to go to the really big maps, and the really big maps are really, really big. So probably still going to be stuck with like the medium-sized maps, which are the same maps that people train in now with totems. So you just, kill everything, wait 6 seconds, 5 seconds, kill everything again.
Yeah.
It's going to be awkward.
Oh, love waiting for respawns.
Yeah.
Fun time.
Yeah, it would be fun if they just, it would be okay if they just reduced the rates a little bit, but kept the amount of monsters. I think it would just feel better.
Yeah.
Not quite, not quite Lost Ark or Path of Exile type, where it's just like hundreds and hundreds just like swarming you every second. But
Right.
But also not this. A little bit in between.
Not this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well said. No, yeah.
Okay, but everything else good for familiars?
Yeah, familiars. Yeah, I'm fairly okay with those. Just gotta wait until I get a good one, hopefully.
Yeah, a large drop hopefully soon, and then you can slam some uniques.
Yep.
I see link skills here. Did you have any questions there? So you're going high on the IED.
Yeah, I think if anything, that's maybe another thing I'm trying to like balance out right now. Is like IED and just trying to figure out, because there was one point where I had like 96% IED, and I'm like looking at your like progression, that like the progression Excel sheet. I'm like, I'm a little too high on that, so I've been trying to recently I had re-rolled my WSE to get a little less IED, get more attack on there, but yeah, it still seems like I'm a little more on the high end, but yeah, I guess it's like a puzzle. It's like, what should I drop or what not in terms of IED to like kind of maximize on that. But
well, do you have any additional functional debuffs and stuff as a shadower? You're pretty much looking at your visual, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know some skills, like some 5th drop skills have like 100% IED, but I guess that really doesn't matter at that point. But
yeah, it's like only one or two of your burst skills, I think, right?
Yeah, it's like the slash formation and like the sonic blow. I think those.
Yeah, sonic blow, yeah.
Pretty sure those. Yeah, those are 100%.
Yeah. So, well, the one thing I did notice in your stat window is that your hyperstat for IEDs at 13, which is a little bit out of because of how expensive it get past like 11, right? It's a little higher up than the other ones. Yeah. Because I could very easily see.
Is that too high?
Well, I could very easily see you just take like 11, 11, 11, 11, right? And then work towards your first 12. That'll, if you feel like you're a little bit high on the IED, then that could be an easy switch to make, to easily just immediately tap into like, what is it, 6% damage, 4% boss damage, and a percent critical damage without losing too much damage on the other side. So that might be a small tweak that you can make. The other thing is that if you do end up, because do you have Superior Gollux?
Yeah,
full set?
the full set.
The other thing would be that if you do end up with more ID on the WC, is not necessarily bad, because then you can move your Legion grid over, right, from the boss to the ID instead, to just compensate for that. So whatever line you get, you just compensate for the other one. But I guess it's, yeah, you have the 20% ID familiar, and if you're bossing using 15, 15, and 20, that's going to go down with more bossing as well once you get those. So it'll even out. And then with bigger Legion, the ID in the Legion will fill out to 40, so then that'll compensate.
Right. So like, what would you say is like a good, I guess for in terms of like hard loosen and hard will, like to prepare for that, what would be like a good ID like number to hit, like 20, like 94, 93, or like somewhere in between?
Yeah, like 94 to 95 probably is good, but 94 is usually solid, because if you're in a full 6-man party, there's at least someone who gives some extra IED, so your functional is always going to be like closer to 95 or 95 and a half.
I see.
So that should be fine. You know, like if you're at 94, missing 6 or a 30% line gives you 1.8, so then you end up at 95.8, so you're like pretty close to 96 already.
Okay.
And there's a lot of, you know, a Night Lord will do that, a DA will do that, a Bishop will do that, a Mercedes will do that, a Paladin will do that, you know, Zero will do that. Like, there's a lot of classes that will give some IED. And if at least one of those is working, you'll be at a 96 effective, which is great. If you have multiple of those, you can definitely be like, okay, I'm just gonna move everything out and be like at 90% and still be functionally at like 97. Like if you have a Bishop and a Zero or something, you know, then it gets kind of crazy.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, yeah, that's a good number to shoot for. It gives me like an idea of how to like move pieces around. That's good.
Yeah, as long as you have that general number in mind. Yeah, and I guess everything now that grows in your Legion just goes straight into the ID anyway, right? Just to give yourself that extra,
at this point.
Yeah, there's nothing else you would really benefit from. And that's going well, Legion. I guess we're transitioning a little bit from with the link skills. Yeah, so if you have the extra ID link, if you have all of them, you could also move like one of the ID links out. It's only 10%, right? So it's not a huge difference. But you typically want to keep Lightwash in there and even eventually get that to level 3, just because it's one bigger chunk. So it's just more valuable as a link skill slot. But the Rin's Blessing and the Bravado, especially if you're bossing, that's on the chopping block pretty quickly once your other ID is in order. So probably by the time your Legion block gets pretty much filled, then Bravado and Rin's Blessing are all just going to be out. And then you have, what do you have in there? Like usually the Cadena link gets overlooked a little bit. Yeah, so the Cadena link will probably get in there. Because of the extra boss to damage to debuff and to the bosses, right? Because except for Will now, that's the next thing, but all the other bosses you're higher level than, so that's a 12% damage one. And if you're in full party, then the Adele Link skill is really nice. That gives you full 12%.
That's good. Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Yeah, definitely like in terms of like my bossing Link setup, I know it's not like optimal, but I mean, Link skills I've slowly been working on. My Lightwash. Oh, actually, I guess I didn't update it here, but no, I thought about it. I was like, wait, I thought I got my Lightwash to level 3, but yeah, I did recently with the level up potions that you got. So
you did. Okay. Nice, yeah. Well, it's another extra source, so that does give you more freedom to tap into that direct damage.
Got you.
So those would be nice to consider switching it with. And then when you're training, just the crit and then the flat damage. I guess Rin's Blessing does that still help you out with survivability at all?
Runes. No, I think I just have it in there just because I haven't updated in a while. But I mean, when I have this set up in for training, like I'm still one-shotting, like I'm still like sufficient enough, which I guess is why I haven't gone in and kind of like tweak things, but definitely can switch that out for sure.
You could definitely like either Rin's probably could switch it out with the Aaron one, right? Because even if it's not insane, it's a little bit more EXP because you just get bigger orbs from it. So all the little bits count in the long run. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Ho Young also gives ID. Yeah, there's a bunch of debuffs. Adele has a debuff. Yeah. So there's always some extra ID at play when you're fully partying. But yeah, again, like if you're already killing, then look for as much EXP as possible, and if you're not killing yet, then possibly take EXP away to be able to kill faster, right? But again, you might have to check with a BA on like the different setups and see if the difference is significant or if it's even positive. Because I was going to new maps in Cernium and be like, oh my god, I can kill these monsters. They're so much higher level. They're within my level range as well, so I'm getting that 10% final EXP boost. And it's level 100 burn map. Like, this is god tier. And then I looked at my rates and they were worse. And I was like, what? And then I looked at the amount of monster kills and it was literally down 50% monsters. So it's like, well, it seemed good, but then you look at the numbers and it's like, well, I'm being duped right now, you know. So sometimes you need the numbers to help you, because sometimes it'll feel better and it's not, and sometimes it'll feel the same and it's actually way better. So you have to get some feedback from the game sometimes. Be like, oh, oops.
Well, quick question though: when you run a BA on on a map to see what's better, how would you, like, would it be like like how do you base that, or like how long would you run it? I guess rather.
Yeah,
5 minutes.
I would do at least 15 because of runes, right? Runes spawn every 15 minutes if you're training, and that's the cooldown. So then you have the whatever length, you know, a little bit around 5 minutes, a little bit more than 5 minutes on rune, and then the time off rune as well. Because if you do 5 minutes, then you'd have to wait until the rune is back and do exactly the time on the rune again. So at least I would do at least 15, and Laura. Yeah, so you can look at the monsters defeated is one, but the main thing you're looking at is the average EXP. That's a big factor, of course. And then the other thing is just how comfortable do you feel training in that map? You know, do you feel like you have to go way out of your way to loot? If you have a vac pad, that's a bit easier, of course. But do you feel like it's just very annoying? Like you have to do you feel like you're getting railroaded, or can you do it like half AFK, you know? Because it might be that you try like 5 maps and it's like, okay, this one is the best EXP, so if I need to super grind levels, I just do this one. This one is like okay EXP, but actually makes me more money, so if I'm more focused on event, I'll do that map instead. And then this one is, you know, the least of both, but I can like totally AFK and watch Netflix at the same time. So if I want to make some gains, but I'm not really trying to, you know,
like just brain dead that day, for sure.
Mr. Efficient, then I can do that map. So as long as you've kind of and this is also important when it's like, oh, you know, this map is technically the best, but you know, maybe it gets popular in a training guide or whatever the fuck, and suddenly all the burn is gone. Maybe you go to your second choice. Or you know, it's busy in the game and the map fills up, then you have your choice of maps kind of like in order. And usually it might seem like, oh, there's like 200 maps that I can train in, which is technically true, but that amount will probably go down and down and down as you actually do those tests. It'll always be like 5 or fewer maps, most likely 2 or 3. Yeah. Okay.
Actually, yeah, I actually like that because usually most of the times I'm either just like, I mean, for spiders, one, because I've been going to spiders just for like the familiars and whatnot. Small map, I can kind of just turn off my brain and just do whatever.
Was it MTS 3?
Yeah, MTS 4.
4, yeah, 4, 5, 6, right?
Actually, I think either 2, 3, 4. Is it? Yeah, 2, 3, 4. Like
2, 3, 4.
Now that like Urda Fountain is a thing,
right?
Like I just run around the bottom. You know, it's super easy. But yeah, definitely, I like that method. I'm definitely gonna do that.
Okay. I guess that gets us to the VMatrix. I don't know if you had any questions there.
VMatrix. I guess so. After you finish your boost nodes, where do you go from there? That's something I've been like. I guess I just got my trios, my boost nodes to 60. So now it's like, okay, what do I do with all my nodes?
Making like the second like min-maxy mobbing set slowly, but it's not as high a priority, right? Because have the space for it, or I guess you can have the space for it when you're mobbing, right? Because there's a few skills that are pretty useless when you're bossing, when you're mobbing. I mean, like the Shadow Walker and the Last Resort, like that doesn't do anything for you, right? When mobbing. Oh no,
yeah. Usually I'm like swapping those out. Like I swap out Last Resort, Shadow Walker for just the Dark Flare boost, and then.
Yeah, because that's a pretty powerful summon if you have that in a good spot. And then you have, Fountain on one side, Flare on the other, and then jump around.
So should I just be focusing on like, well, maybe not focus, but I guess like start working on those, like the secondary trios?
What you'll probably start working on is, so it kind of depends if you're super burst heavy. So two things that are really nice is if you have burst skills that give you a bunch more damage, what it'll mean is just that your burst as a whole will go up. So they're kind of bursting all the skills at once because they're buffing your burst, right? So
Okay.
I think you have 3 of those, right? You got the Goddess Blessing, you got the Last Resort, and you got the Shadow Walker. So those will help you just overall increase your burst. Whereas if you do the other skills, it'll buff just those skills while you're using them.
I see.
So you probably want to focus on those a little bit more. But what I usually do is I just Google the numbers for the skill and see how much does the skill get better. Because some skills will have either shorter cooldown or longer duration. Those are pretty much always priority because that's just the most efficient. And I don't know. I think, is Shadow Walker one of those?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
Oh, to the Googles we go.
Google, our best friend.
Because I thought it looks like the cooldown goes down as you level it. So if you max it, it goes down to 190-second cooldown, which means it pretty much syncs with your 3-minute burst.
Yeah, okay. That's actually really nice.
So that's probably what I would prioritize as a result, because then I believe Last Resort is 90 seconds?
Yeah, like 85, something like that.
So you could do like 2.
Yeah, right now
you could do
85.
one Last Resort in between, and then every other one would be together, and then the Grandest Blessing is a 3-minute one. So that would then sync with the Shadow Walker with the 3-minute. It's a little weird now, but like technically a 3-minute one.
Right.
And that would sync with everything, right? But I think your Sonic Blow is that like 45 or something? Is it like half?
Yeah, it's 45.
And then the big slash formation is that 60?
90.
90. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so then you got a 45, a
weird.
90, and a 180. I mean, it's at least it's synced like that. If you look at like Ho Young's cooldowns, it's like, what is going on here? what did these numbers even mean?
Yeah.
And they already fixed quite a bit of it, and it's still really weird. Yeah.
It's still all over the place.
So that means on the easier bosses, you can be like, oh, every 45 seconds you're like tapping something basically, and then every 90 it's like your medium burst, and every 3 minutes it's your huge burst. But on like really big bosses, then you can choose like, okay, is there a good opportunity here? There isn't. Okay, then I just hold. Or are we cycling around domain, or are we around a 2-minute bishop? And then you can try to wiggle in what makes sense. So I probably do Shadow Walker just for the big burst, and then that will mean that you're more party oriented for that, right? For the big 3-minute burst, especially if you have Kana in your party for domain. But you're going towards hard lucid, so you do want to start improving on that damage.
Okay. Maybe that's like a question for like in terms of like bossing, like if we ever circle back to that. But I guess like how does like do you have a resource where it does give like information on like domain, like bishop burst and whatnot? Because I do remember I had a Kana in like one of my normal lucid runs, and she's like, okay, domaining now, and I'm like, what does that do? I don't know. But
a domain,
yeah,
they will say like charging, and then say when it's charged usually, right? And then usually they bind when it's charged. So you kind of puts domain down, then uses skills that use as much mana as possible. And the more mana the Kana uses, the more the domain charges. And the domain has 3 stages. It's kind of like Last Resort, where it has like 2 stages. But like domain has 3. So what they do is they summon their Yuki, which makes their skills either not cost mana or cost way less mana for a little bit, and then put the domain down, and then they'll do like Vanquisher Charm, which does a lot of lines, and every one of those lines so they can charge the domain really quickly. Usually takes around 10 seconds or less to charge. So if they say they're charging, that means you have 10 seconds to make sure that you are in position, that all you have your fingers on the buttons, and everything to go. And then when domain is charged, that means that you'll be getting 33% final damage, because it gives 11% final damage per stage.
Jesus.
So well, that's why kind of so fucking powerful. And then it binds, and also kind of has the longest bind, right? Which is like 15 to almost 17 seconds if you include like the animation of the bind and everything. So when they say they're binding, then you're free to put to push things like Sonic Blow and stuff, fairly free, because the boss won't be throwing a whole bunch of shit at you. Sometimes the map keeps doing weird shit, but at least the boss itself won't. So you're more safe to put those things in. So if you're doing a Lucid, slash formation, you can pretty much always do that in phase 1. Like Lucid is always hittable, is always there.
Yeah.
But in phase 2, you'll be using it off bind as well, just because you have it. But a lot of times she will just go into touch or into lasers or something. or dragon will come and you'll have to move out of the way and then maybe move out of her hitbox, and then the slash formation won't hit full damage. But when it's bound, you know, guarantee that you can commit the full damage because she's there. So then you want to really use those hard hitting skills and make sure that, you know, last resort, shadow walker, that all of those things are there. And since the domain, I believe, is like 192 seconds or something like that, but you know, with the Mercedes in the Legion and with the time to charge and everything, as long if you have a good Kana, they'll ask like, is everyone's burst up? So you can say like, oh, my burst is up in like 10 seconds. Then they'll be like, okay, I'll start charging then. And then by the time everything is charged, you have all your shit, and then you just, you know, nuke the boss, and then you can really just take like huge chunks out, which for Lucid is really good because if you're moving from normal to hard, you need to do that to be able to get those cleanses off, right, in the statues. So that you know, that you don't get butterflied, and then the Toho, like the Toho mini game with all the balls and stuff.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning, you know, it's really a thing from years ago that still happened. Now people just blow up that boss. But if you're really with a party that just can do it, but you know, it's not just super just roll your face on your keyboard and the thing dies, then you do kind of need to, you know, spread out your binds and make sure that you make the most of your bursts so that you can get 1 or 2 extra cleanses, because some classes off bursts are just very weak, and then you need a little bit of a buffer to get you through to the next burst, basically. But the 3 minutes is a good sync on Kana. And then bishops have benediction, which basically just puts the dome over them, which does almost the same thing. Like, it just gives a bunch of final damage to people who are close to it. For domain, you also have to be in domain, but a Kana can just do it on the bottom of the map. And like for Lucid Phase 2, basically like 60% of the map will be domain, so it's almost difficult to not be in it. For bishop, it's more close to the boss, but you'll see like a yellow dome, like a half circle around the bishop. But the bishop can do, so standard is 3-minute cooldown as well, but their final damage is dependent on their intellect. So sometimes, like at high levels and stuff, they'll actually equip like intellect weapons and secondaries and, and emblems to get longer duration and bigger benedictions. But that'll depend, like, you know, how much damage are you sacrificing versus how much you're giving to the entire party. But usually, you know, you're giving that damage to 5 people versus sacrificing it only for yourself. So usually that's beneficial to the party, and the more burst heavy you are, the better that is. Now, in Ignition, Bishop did get the extra ability to use Benediction again while it's active, and then shorten the duration, but also the cooldown, so that it synchronizes with a 2-minute burst. So, depending on what your party is like, if everyone in the party is like, we have 2 minutes, and you're like, well, you know, I have some 1 minute and some 90-second stuff, I can just hold that a little bit longer, and we can go on a 2-minute burster instead. If everyone else is on 2 minutes, then that will be beneficial for the party, for the Bishop to do that. But if you have a Kana, then usually everyone is like, okay, yeah, what do we do? If you're not very strong, it's better to hold your 2-minute stuff to use it during domain. If you're very strong, you just burst every 2 minutes and you kind of desync yourself. But yeah, you have to look at how easy is it to confirm the damage. And if it is pretty easy to confirm, then you can take that risk. But yeah, Phase 2 Lucid will just disappear the whole time. So I've definitely done like, oh, let's pop like Revenant, you know, because the dragon is coming, and then the first thing she does is also disappear and go do touch or laser, and you're just sitting there tanking the dragon for nothing, and you can't do any damage to her. So it's a risk that you're taking for sure. And if if you have short cooldown 5th jobs, you can always just throw them out, you know, and you already know that you're gonna miss like 20% of them. That's the standard. But if you have pretty long cooldown ones and you really need their damage, then the way of the game is just you have to wait for the bind, and then you can confirm them, sadly.
Okay, that makes sense.
So that's the main, and then Kanas and Bishops do other stuff as well, like more protective stuff, but they should call that out. Like, Kanas have the barriers, right? There's like certain spots where they would put them. For Lucid in the middle, right, where you go for bombs, usually one, and then sometimes in the top right, there'll be one. And then damaging barrier usually in the middle, because that's just, you know, where the boss ends up flying around the most. And then bishops can sometimes put down those little like the fountain and those little things that you can pick up for healing, but those are pretty visible, so bishop doesn't really have to. I mean, they'll try to door you sometimes, you know, try to shell you. Yeah, it's the most obvious one.
I could definitely see how, like, if you have a set group and like you guys are like in a call or whatever, calling does out, it's definitely easier to work around.
Simply for hard Lucid and beyond, it's a good idea to just make a Discord and be in voice comms, you know.
Yeah, I guess that's the
Calling
hope.
out
Eventually, I'll get into like
dragons.
a solid. Yep,
Hmm.
like a solid group.
Yeah, so I guess your normal Lucid party has also always been like a pickup group as well, or has it been?
I've just been running pickup groups just because I guess like immediate or like I'm just trying to get my droplets. So just whenever I find a group, I'm like, all right, let's just run it. Because
Right.
usually, I'm confident in my survivability. As for
Hmm.
everyone else, it's like, oh well, good luck. If you're or feel
Yeah,
like
you're
they're
on
running
your
low on
own.
lives,
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I'm like, guys, just start playing your lives. Just milk it. Just
Yeah, just
stop
stay
coming
dead.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, usually just like ragtag groups, and like every now and then I would have like a Kana or a bishop, and they calling these things out. I'm like, I don't know what to do, but it
Yeah.
definitely makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah, domain is like a pink. Yeah, it's like a crystal in the middle with a pink barrier around it. So you'll see that as a buff on the right side. Then you know that you're in domain, and you'll see the Kana do like the Vanquisher animation, right, where they're like pointing forward their wand for like a long duration. That's when you definitely know that they're charging it. And if you open your stat window, you would see that your final damage goes up a lot as well. So sometimes the Kana will say like where the domain is. You know, if they're charging it between phases and will, for example, it'd be like, okay, I'm gonna charge it on the right side, so that you make sure that between the transitions you're in the domain, and then you can carry it over to the next boss fight. Like for will, typically we'll charge outside and then go in with the domain buff. So I guess the extra thing with domain is that if the Kana dies while charging, they will lose the domain buff. But if you were in it when it was being charged, then you will keep the buff for the duration of that it would have otherwise. If you die and the domain is gone, then you will just not go back into it. But if you die and the domain is still there, you just walk back into it and you get it back. What's the other thing? There's like another situation.
Dang.
If you... Oh, yeah. If the Kana dies while charging domain and you're outside of it, then it's just gone. Like you can't... Yeah, there's no way for you to get it again. So if the Kana says I'm charging, then do try to look at like where they're charging and at least get it, so that if something happens, sometimes, you know, dragon and lasers and bombs happen like right after. Right when they say that they're charging. Or to say like, okay, I'm going to bind it now. Sometimes what also happens is the Lucid will like start up the animation of the sickles. The sickles always go through, so you always want to be like, definitely call out the sickles if you see them, because one or two people might have missed them, and it might be like, oh, it's bound, let's jump into the and just get, like blasted by those sickles. That happens a lot.
That's happened many times.
Yeah,
I've seen that happen many times.
Or the old blind approach, like after a dragon that you're on a top right platform, and then you jump down. Always jump down very carefully, because there's like 75% chance that sickles are meeting you halfway there.
Yep.
So you always want to be careful with that.
Okay.
I guess about the VMatrix, yeah, so I would focus on that skill, and then I would focus on if you do BA, like which skills give you the most damage in like a full rotation. So I would do like a full 3-minute rotation just in like the fog forest, right, where you can set the opponent yourself. Have you ever done that?
Right. Yeah. I've set up. I guess I focus more on the oak setting, the oak dummy, just for I guess like thinking about like hard lucid, but. Yeah, I've definitely done
you can
that.
copy those settings exactly in the fog forest as well. You don't have to use any dojo points for it. So you can just set like the level, the arcane power, everything, and then you can do a full BA on that, and it has no limit HP as well. So you can just be in there for a while. But I would just look at those and see like which skills actually do the most of my damage, and then just prioritize those on leveling after that.
Got you. And you said full 3-minute, not like your typical 40-second BA? Why a 3-minute?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the 40-second BA anymore because of like hard lucid. I feel like if you can show that you can solo normal lucid, and if everyone in the party can do that, maybe supports can be exempt. Then you know you can do hard lucid, because people have the mechanical skill, they have the determination to want to solo that boss, and they definitely have enough damage. So then you should be fine. And if someone's 40-second BA is like 1.2 trill or it's 5 trill, for some classes, a 3 trill BA is equal to someone else's 1 trill, just because of DPM versus DPS, right? Like off burst versus on burst. So I kind of want to get people away from just focusing so hard on that 40-second BA and like dick measuring so hard, because I don't think it's super. I think it's a way, like, if you tell me like a party of like Night Lords who all have like a 4 trill BA or a bunch of people who can solo normal lucid, I'll take that second party any day of the week, because that first party, like, they know how to hold down spread throw, but that does not a hard lucid party make. Like that is so far
true.
away.
That's very true.
So that's
Yeah,
why I'm
okay.
trying to move that a little bit. The 3-minute is very good for later on, when you're, especially when you're with a Kana, because that's like, you know, your full rotation of like how many times can you get the skill off. And in a boss,
Right.
it's going to be less because, you know, bosses teleport and, you know, you have to dodge things, of course. But it gives you a little bit more of an idea when you're looking at like, when you're going towards Tenebris, when you're going towards Varishilla, later towards Black Mage, you just basically use full damage rotations, and then you look at your damage per second to kind of see where is your BA at. But I think for you, it'd be a good idea to see, like, if I use, you know, the slash formation every 60 seconds and last resort like twice per 3-minute, and it also helps you, like, if I'm setting up my burst, what am I pressing first, what am I pressing second, right? To get to just go through, because if you can't do it in like a training session, you're not going to be able to do it in a bossing session, right? Because it's so much more chaotic.
That's true.
So you just have to go through that, setting up your burst and like, what is the longest lasting buff? What do I press first? What do I press last? You know, getting terms and conditions to go off, pressing that 14 times every, you know. And then you can see like, okay, this skill is like, you know, 5% of my damage. It's like, oh, I actually thought that was more. You know, we're going back to the just getting the numbers actually for, because slash formation can look really good. It's like, oh, look at all those shiny numbers. But if it's, you know, if that's 10% of your damage, and so that's the one thing you'll have to be careful for, is the ease of confirming the damage, right? So slash formation might be lower damage, but it's easier to confirm than Sonic Blow, for example, because that can be a bit spookier. You know, boss doesn't attack mid-blow, you know, something like that. You might have to cut it short, which you can do, right? Like you can cancel, I think, Sonic Blow.
Right. Yeah, you can.
To get the cooldown back a little bit. So that depends on your hands a little bit, and like how confident are you that you can confirm that damage.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, I see what you're saying by like confirming damage. That makes sense. Yeah, because with like slash formation, you just follow them. It does all the damage. With Sonic Blow, yeah, you gotta like you ground yourself for like those 2 seconds. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So like Sonic, one of the things when I helped Deboki with like CVAL like 3 years ago or something, he's gonna upload the video soon, guys. He's gonna. I'm huffing the copium still. One of the things that we ended up doing because of how it was going is just take Sonic Blow off of your keyboard. Just with CVAL, like with the tails and everything, every time he pressed it, he would die, and it would just did not make sense. So we just got extra boost nodes in there, and we just focused on basically kind of like stutter stepping and getting all the assassinate hits in, and just assassinate, and then getting eviscerate properly, and that's just all we focused on, and then we got the boss done. And it's like, once you get way better, and once you feel like you have so much extra, then you can throw Sonic Blow back in, because you'll see more opportunities to be like, oh, I can definitely easily Sonic Blow here.
Okay.
But yeah, sometimes you need to take a step back, you know, before you could take 2 steps forward, kind of thing.
No, for sure.
And the last thing I wanted to mention is that there are some skills that I see at your leveling, which I think you can just extract. So like decent door,
decent skills.
Yeah, decent door, decent hyper body, and the poison, the venom one. You're never using those, so you can extract those, and rather sooner than later. So you can extract all the individuals, because if you level up, you lose efficiency on the extraction, right?
Yeah,
But
I think
they're
this
still
was
low
more in the
level, so-
beginning. Yeah, in the beginning, it's like I was like with friends. They were like, "Oh yeah, just if you get like a decent like a skill, just dump everything into like the one." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, sure." But no, yeah, definitely. Yeah, with the decent skills, at least I know, like especially if you're like pet buffing it, auto buffing it, like there's you don't need a longer like a high level. So
Exactly.
definitely something I need to do.
Except for one, right? There's one exception.
Is it actually? Wait, yeah, I think it's Holy Symbol. Aside from that,
Yeah, Holy Symbol, yeah. Because that gives you more EXP and
more
drop rate.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, so Grandness will help you burst, yeah. You got the blink, you got the... Yeah, and now you're probably going to start leveling the Urda Shower and the Urda's Will as well, right?
Yeah, I've been working on that. Just whenever I get it, just throwing it in there.
Yeah, there's so many different ones now, so all of it levels so slowly.
Yeah, I mean, I was especially unlucky with Urda's Will. Clearly level 1.
Yeah, level 1.
Not getting anywhere, but...
And then the Urda Shower is also still level 1. Meanwhile, which one is it? The slash formation is 12. But yeah, so by extension of that, if you're doing any Clover stuff, make sure you buy out the Clovers today, right? Because they reset at reset.
Yes, actually with that, well, I bought out all my note stones. Actually, I think it was
the
yesterday.
EXP ones as well.
That one, so I mean,
Because they're pretty
I
cheap.
don't- no, I actually, yeah, no, they are cheap. I should have, keyword should have, but so I had like a ton of clovers left over.
Uh-huh.
Guess this is going like circling back to like drop gear, but I made actually during like the cube sale, I made one of my extra Kana rings into like a drop gear just because I just want. I guess I'm really thirsting for those pat marks and the slime ring, so
Yeah,
I made an extra drop gear and I put a 15 star on it, thinking, oh, in the like, especially when I'm training too, I guess it'll come in handy. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have a few clovers left over. Definitely gonna try and squeeze out the rest of that, but.
Is it a few like 50 or
definitely.
is it like a few hundred? Or like a...
I have a few 84 clovers left.
Okay,
over.
yeah. Alright, that's fine, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no major losses then. That's like one...
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
It's like a few flames, I guess, if you haven't bought those yet.
Yeah, that's true.
Or, yeah, I mean, the experience... But wait, so did you buy the experience nodes or no?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so I would probably buy those because you get the amount of EXP equal to 3 skill nodes per each one of them. So it's still decently
Okay.
cheap. So you can level up your either your Shadow Walker if you want to get towards that bossing damage for Hard Lucid first, so you can show that BA, or if you want to get more of your general progression through the account with a decent holy symbol.
Okay.
So, yeah, so even if you can buy 4 of them, right, with 80, that's the equivalent of 12 skill nodes. So that's a decent level up already.
Valuable,
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, they're never going to be cheaper than this. I'll tell, if they are, it would be highway robbery. Like, this is already an absolute steal. Yeah.
Especially given like the event ones are pretty expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, comparatively.
Oh,
to
yeah.
that.
Yeah, you'll get like 50 nodes at 2,000 somethings, and then you're at 7,000, and it's like 1 EXP node. You're like, what? This is supposed to be a better reward? In what universe? But okay.
No.
Yeah.
Not in the Nexon universe, never.
No. Yeah, so they definitely overvalue those. So when they're this cheap, I would definitely jump on them.
Yeah. All right, gotta do that later today.
Yeah. Not too much later. Okay. Okay, we good on Matrix?
Yeah, Matrix sounds good. It's good advice there.
Okay. Yeah, we're at Legion. We talked about that already, like the grid a little bit. Do you have multiple grid setups?
Yes, I do. I guess I forgot to snapshot that, but I have a second page where for my Shadow training, it's just like crit damage and bonus XP while bleeding into like, putting a little bit into attack and like luck.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have like a third page just for like other mules and whatnot, like doing like bonus XP and like normal damage and crit rate.
Yeah. And that one probably can't get to the crit damage yet. Like if you're killing,
Yeah.
then go for bonus EXP. If you can't kill yet, then go for critical damage over bonus EXP, right?
Right, yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, and as you get to 8K, you'll be able to cover way more, because that's kind of the big big disappointment for people getting to 6K. Like, yes, I'm 6K, and it's like,
Yeah.
this grid is so empty. Oh my god, I can't fill
Yeah.
anything. You basically need
Yeah.
8K to get some filler going.
Yeah, slowly been working on that. I mean, right now, I didn't update the Legion board at least, but right now I'm at 69. Nice. 69,000 Legion. 6,900. Sorry, yeah.
69,000 Legion.
slowly
That's
getting there.
Sacrix, eat your heart out. That's a,
Yeah, I'm better than yeah, 6,900. So slowly getting to 7K, working up there.
okay.
Yeah.
And any characters? Yeah, so you're terror burning the Nightwalker, and then the hero's kind of like in between, somewhat bossing mule.
Yeah, I mean, surprising. I mean, my Nightwalker right now. Again, this I forgot to update last night, but Nightwalker is like 232, 231, wherever it is. Yeah, and then Hero is sitting at 15K stat, so I mean that one's pretty solid right now, just in terms of doing like 4 doors and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, eventual plan is to get the Nightwalker to 250. Like actually push that one be my first 250, and then make that just like a bossing mule to like just blow up low main and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Have that fund the Shadower again, because definitely Shadower staying the top. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
The top dog. Okay,
Yeah,
and then
have a bunch of like
get some 200 to 210 like you did with the Loomies, right? With the with either the potions or with the EXP event, right? We got the Surge to differences or whatever.
Oh man, yeah, just gotta do that too.
Well, you don't have to, but it is a lot of XP for low level characters. And
Yeah,
you've got
no,
those
exactly.
higher level Monster Park stuff since today as well.
They'll find the difference. That's for 200 plus only, or is that?
I think so.
I
Yeah,
didn't
I think it just
patches.
replaced
Okay.
the Star Bridge, Star
Got
Bridge,
you,
yeah,
got
not
you.
Moon Bridge. That's something else. But it's a lot of
and then,
EXP on like a fresh 200. It's at least like the last thing was like 30% EXP per run, so you can do 2 runs for EXP a day. So that's like 60% EXP.
Yeah.
It's pretty free to get those first. I would say like 4 levels or something with that, and then if you want to slam potions after that, you can always do that.
I mean, I guess of like the 200 that I have now, I don't necessarily need any other level or like 210s, do I? Because I think I got all the 210 like level 3 link skills I got.
No, it looks good. Yeah, I mean, arc up to 210 is really nice. That's a really good level 3 link. Yeah.
Just waiting on more bonk potions.
But the on 200 seems fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, just gotta pray for more bonk potions. That's all.
Oh yeah, and your if you want to get the Katana link in there, make sure you get that one leveled up a bit, right? Because it's only level 1
slowly
link
working on that.
Yeah. But it caps out at level 2, so even like 120 or already.
Yep.
There's a lot of progress.
40 more levels. I'm almost there.
Yeah. I mean, 40 levels is if you were already 240, then 40 levels is eternity. But if you're 84, 40 levels is very doable.
It should be, maybe like hour, 2 hour, hopefully.
Just throw some chains out. They're pretty strong, so shouldn't be too hard. What the hell is this?
It's not bad.
Oh, it's a walrus. Okay. Okay, cool. That gets us through everything except for the equips.
Yes, the equips. Lovely equips.
So what's the dealio with your drop rate gear? What's the situation?
So, I mean, I do have a lot of drop. I think I'm sitting at 7, looks like. No, 8. I can't count. But yeah, I mean, in terms of miso drop gear, I think I'm set. I know you want 5, like 5 drops, 5 lines of drop for like the ideal, but I think because shadowers have like that 20% drop, I was like, okay, like that just compensates. So I mean, in terms of like my meso gear. Like,
you mean meso obtain, right?
Yeah, meso obtains. My bad. Yeah, meso obtain. I think I'm okay. You could correct me if I'm wrong.
I mean, it stacks on top of it, so you still want to get that 5 just to squeeze out the extra benefit of having a shadower, right? So like, go for it.
Sorry, the skill doesn't like. I remember seeing like a Reddit thread about saying something like the shadower skill is like accounted for in the drop thing, like because there's like 4 separate categories for like meso obtained, and the skill was accounted for with like equips and stuff. So that's why
I've never heard that. I can ask the chat, but I've always heard that shadower have a benefit over all the other classes is because they have meso obtained built into their kit, so they get more money than anyone else can get. That's always what I've heard. But if you have something that says the contrary, I'm always happy to see that. Make sure that my information is up to date. But from what I hear, everybody wants just the 5 meso 4 drop combination set, and then anything you can do with even more with more drop rate past that, or when you replace the meso pieces with drop rate when you're bossing, then that's very beneficial for those drops that you mentioned, right? And kind of treasure rings, dominator pendants, as well. Those are you want backup, so sooner you get started on that, the better.
Exactly. But yeah, so I mean, in that line, like in terms of like any backups, that's why I kind of have like a ton of item drop. I mean, given like these are just spares that I've always had, or like just things that I can turn into item drop, which is why they are item drop. And so I think you said, or not you, but I think the cap on item drop is like 10 lines, right? Or something from equips?
From equips, yeah, up to 200%.
Okay. Right. But yeah, so that's why I just have a ton of those.
That's
and then
good,
whenever I'm like training or whatnot, I always like switch them out for like just like getting enough damage. Like if I need another damage, I'll just drop out like another item drop just to get a damage piece in.
Yeah, for most classes that's not really a thing, but since you rely on the meso explosion, that could be a little bit more of a thing for you, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're in the balance of barely killing, barely not killing. To take us back just a little bit with the Will-O-the-Wisp, because we were talking about those E-rings, and then we got to talking about the superiors, and then we kind of like moved off the subject. But if you have those superiors and you're saving reinforce, you can definitely just get rid of the Will-O-the-Wisps, because you don't want to have to make like 2 jumps when you're Starforcing over, because that just adds a whole lot of cost. It just makes more sense to just wait longer until you have the resources to make the single jump instead, and just let that kind of be the litmus test on like, is it time to make that upgrade? But if you have that many superiors, I would definitely try on the superior, so you can definitely get rid of the lowest step, which would be the extra Will of the Wisps, especially if you already have a 17 star with, you know, double luck line and a 66 and 6 flame. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, do you want to get it to
That flame
20
was
star or something? Like, I mean, I guess you could
So
make
I
it
mean,
like
actually,
yeah.
regarding that, so I mean, in my mind, it was more like, oh, the Will of the Wisp were just my drop earrings,
Mm-hmm.
and so like when I'm training, I do have those in, and then when I'm like bossing or like when I need the damage, that's when I swap to the sub earrings.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
so,
like the
even in
backups
that,
you
like,
can get rid of, right? Yeah.
oh, the backups. Oh, okay.
Yeah, just to create
So
some
it's
more
not-
inventory space. So yeah.
Not gonna lie, I was thinking like, oh, if I have extra bases, like maybe I get those to 20 for damage while training or whatnot. But
You
I guess
could.
that's not
Yeah.
worth.
I'm 17 to 19 is pretty free, but I think you could do that eventually. But I wouldn't
not a
put that on the
priority.
menu right now. No, definitely not. No.
Right. Okay. For sure.
Because yeah, if you want to go to like Grandis, but again, typically if you go to Grandis, you want to get your Mezzo obtained, and you want to get as much damage as possible, and then you want to have the Mezzo drop rate coming from a familiar, preferably, so that because you lose the least damage there, right? Because familiars are usually ID and boss, so they don't do anything when you're mobbing
Right.
anyway. And if you can't do that, you want to go like, so you want to start with as much damage as possible, right? And then if you're overkilling, you can slowly start to introduce the Mezzo obtain. And then, but you never really go to drop rate, because if you could start including drop rate, that means you want to go to like Burning Sternium, and if you could do it there, then that means you want to go to Arcus, just to like keep improving your rates, rather than getting like an extra 2 or 3 nodes per 2 hours, because that's the only thing you're doing there with drop rate, basically.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, for future proofing stuff, basically.
Yeah.
So this kind of treasure
right.
is 15 with a scroll now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good on there.
And that's totally fine for the clovers, like for you and for anyone else listening. Like to get those 15 scrolls now is a really good idea, because Shining Starforce is really soon, so tapping that 17 is very cheap, and the scrolls cost like barely half of what the 17 star scrolls cost. So it's very much better value to throw those 15s on there right now, and just have a little bit of patience. Maybe with the tattoo as well. Well, it's already 12. Yeah, maybe.
Actually, wait. Yeah, the tattoo. Yeah, I did update. Yeah, that one I'm planning to get to like 17 as well, just because it is better than the Zac item now. But
yeah, the
working
potential
on
will do that. Yeah, I don't even have to see.
Yeah,
the
that
Zaku
potential is real good potential there. Got lucky on that one.
Yeah. And the other one is drop. Yeah. Okay. And then, so the WSE was rerolled purely for damage because you were too high on the IED, which means that now you're a little bit weird on the IED, but you have 2 functional lines at least, and a beautiful 3rd line on the emblem. You'd love to see it.
Yep. Oh, mwah, chef's kiss. Thank you, Nexon. Love you. Yeah.
Amazing. I think I have like 3 or 4 items like that. It's just, yeah, it never gets old.
Lovely. Amazing. But yeah, I mean, plan for the weapon, the dagger, is I'm just gonna leave it as is, just because I know I'm gonna get the arcane weapon soon.
Yeah,
So,
flame is great as well, so there's nothing to work on there. That's fine. Secondary basically goes on a pile kind of with CR8, but you already brought them all up to 18 together, so that feels like that's already a known thing for you, so that's good. But yeah, if you know, the first thing that goes to 19 would be that. The first thing that goes to 20 would probably also be that, and then the first thing that goes to 21 probably also be that. So they're like in that train together. You have recipes, you have backups, and you have a whole lot of CRA backups. I saw, so what, like 60 or 70. So
something like that. Yeah, it's a lot.
there is a alternative CRA option. Probably not for this character, but if you ever want to do that on another character, where like the first CRA pieces you make is like, you know, 12-star unique potential, you get up to 17, maybe you make it legendary. If you're jumping from 17 perhaps to 21 because you're like saving for 6 months for a Shining Starforce, one thing you could also do, if their flames are okay like yours are, they're not like, you know, 120 plus, they're like, you know, like mid 80s to like low 90s, something like that. One thing you can also do is just start mass clicking those emblems and just see if you hit any kind of huge flame on those. because just one really big flame could be worth like 100 times what you've spent on a 17 star that's unique, you know?
Right.
And
But, I
then
mean,
you just
if I
take that
did-
one and send it to 21 and just leave the old one. I wouldn't do that here now, right? Because of where
okay,
you're
I
at,
see.
and it's already 18 and
Yeah.
it's already legendary and all that. But if it's like unique and 12% and the flame is like 75 something and it's like 17 star, even though that 17 star seems like it's very close to like 21, it's actually not. It's just a fraction of the
No,
cost,
it's not.
right? So just opening up those emblems instead and seeing if there's like some Giga Chad flame in there that could be worth like 3 trill or something, right? If you just hit the lottery on those, that would be way more. That could be way more worth. So that could be an option. Maybe on another character.
When
if
would
you're
you
making
start doing that?
I think if you're like on your third or fourth character and you basically just you don't make upgrade steps, but you just make huge jumps, you know, because you can, because you have a big legion, and because you know exactly where to spend the money and when to do it. And then when you're like, oh, I'm looking for one of those next jumps, like, I'm gonna just look at those emblems first and then see what's good. And most likely it won't happen. But if it does happen, if there's like an 88 and 5 in there or something, you're like, okay, you know, ditch whatever item you had because this is where it's at, you know. It's kind of like when you
essentially
roll.
It becomes like a free flame, pretty much.
Yeah, it's a tier 7 roll. It's
Kind
like an
of.
eternal flame. So on every reveal, So it's essentially like, what if you roll 33% stat on like a superior when you're actually just aiming for 21 and you're like, oh, what do I do now? Well, that means you're just gonna wait forever until you have like 3,000 superior coins, probably, like the Golex coins, right? Or every event you try with one backup and you just try to send it and see how far you get, kind of thing. Because even if you don't need it right now, and right now it doesn't mean that much, and you can reroll 27 or 30 pretty easily, and that would make better gains. If it's only one item, it's perfectly fine to just gimp the Starforce on one item, so that eventually you could get to something that's, you know, but double prime, even on an accessory, is probably worth like 30 plus bill, 40 bill. You know, that's worth that in the long run.
Okay, that makes sense. Actually, in that line with like talking about CRA and whatnot, I guess so I do have across like my account, I think I have like 25 bill or something like that. Probably closer to 30 actually. So I mean, I was thinking for the Shining Star first, I did want to spend some, like maybe like half on my Nightwalker, and for CRA, like I haven't worked on any of my CRA stuff on my Nightwalker yet. Like they're all just clean. Would it make sense to fodder like a Pencilier like top, or like Pencilier overall to 21, and then transfer it onto the CRA, or just get it to 17, just straight up the CRA top and bottom.
Well, I have to look at the my instinct tells me probably just keep it on the things and aim for like 17 or 18, because if you're going to spend half of that, so you're going to be spending during the event maybe like 15, that means you have like about 5 mil per piece. And even with the new rates and everything going on, I don't know if that's enough to realistically do that. And it would depend on how many backups you have as well, right? Because like transfer hammering with fodder is always more expensive than doing it on the item itself. So the main factor on why you would do it or not is, do you realistically have the amount of backups that you would need? So if you do no safeguard and you'd want to get 20 then as the end result, let's say that.
I guess 20.
We have a lot of extra options now because they updated the server. There's TMS as well in there. 15, 30% off. 020, no star cash. Wow, it looks like with the new things, wow, we would like 3 to 4 bill. Wow, that's such a huge. I guess if you do 21 here, it'll still be a little bit closer to that old number. Yeah, it'll take a decent jump. But this is what you want to look for, right? Median average booms. It looks like 2 to 3. But, you know, you want to take a little bit of a buffer here. But it looks like if you have, like, 6, 7 backups, I don't know how many you will have on a Night Lord by then. But if you got, like, you know, 40 pieces or something, it'd probably do it on the item itself. But if you're very low on these, you have, like, 1, maybe 2 backups, and you really want this. But you could also say 19, right? Like, just 1 star lower. You know, that's like half of that, you know? Which is already really good for, like, a secondary character as well.
Right.
Depends on how hard you want to go on that. And if you would do this. For the Pencilier, Yeah, it looks about 4. Yeah, it's like 3 to 4.2 bills. It's not that much extra. It's
Right.
280, so it's like 1/20th.
Right.
Yeah, so it's like 5% more, and you'd have more booms, but that'll be way easier to replace. So those are the numbers I will
Exactly.
look at.
Okay.
Just don't be this guy. Don't be the 21 bill guy.
God, knowing my luck.
Don't be the 28 booms guy. Yeah. Dude, if you move 28 times to 21 on a Shining,
you just give up at that point. You just give up.
Just uninstall. Yeah, come back 2
Yep.
years later.
MapleStory does not favor you. Okay. Good. And then also, I mean, that definitely does help out with my mule. Kind of circling back a little bit, just slightly, but just for like in the backups and coins.
Sure.
So I recently rolled that flame on my Dom pendant.
Oh,
I think is that
one?
flame like no. If you go to the backup and coins, all the way in the bottom, like above familiars, that's the flame I have, and like that's the flame I'm thinking of transposing onto like a Sweetwater pendant. Is that okay, or is that like meh? And like I should try to go for something better.
I mean, it's like mathematically, it's just in the ballpark. If you show people in game, people have like insane standards, and they'll all say it's not good enough and you need to re-roll. Like either you need the all set to be a 6, or you need the luck to be like at least 8 to 10 higher.
Sure.
But like my rule of thumb usually is 105 or higher, and this looks like a 107. But you have to include the secondary stat into it, right? So,
right, yeah.
But you have 2 secondary stats. Actually, it's a little bit higher because your all stat counts for more. So that's why people also tend to increase the barrier a little bit for Shadower, because you have 2 secondary stats, right? So therefore your all stat scales better. So you can easily take 10 for all stat if you're looking for like late and end like flaming. It'll probably get closer to like 12 for you in endgame. But like a 10 is a pretty safe guess. So then you'd be at like 106, 110, like 112. But some people might say like, oh, that's a little bit fake because they just want everything to be in luck and they just want to have like a 60 and 6 at least. That's what just most people's brains are like wired for. But I think this is good enough to transpose, for sure.
Okay, cool. And then like let's say later on, like as I'm like still running Arc and I find like something insanely better, like it's not that like much of a lost value to like start over, quote unquote, right?
No, because you could make the existing one into like a meso / damage one or a double meso one, and then use that one as your meso piece then in Cernium, so that you still get a lot of damage from it. That's what I did with like my old transpose stuff. Many times things will get like a second life in some way.
Yeah. Okay, makes sense. All right, cool, nice. I just wanted the seal of approval on that.
Yeah.
I was like, dang, I've been rolling on this for like weeks, man, and
you just want to close some chapters sometimes. You're like, I don't want to keep rolling forever.
Yep. For real, yeah. Okay, cool. That means I got to start doing Commercy. Woohoo.
Yeah. Are you on the Dineros? 327. Yeah, you can get through that real quick. Just one pendant is 350, I think, right? So yeah, that goes real fast.
Yeah. I really don't have. I haven't done Commercy in like forever. But like now that I can transpose and it's like something on my radar, it's like okay, well, gotta start doing it.
Yeah. Get the Dom to 16 stars, right?
Yeah. Gotta do that. Shining. Hopefully, no booms.
Yeah, unless you want to work on the pendant at Shining, then it'll make more sense to get him to 16 before and start trying to transpose, because that can take a few days. It's not, it's like 3% chance to transpose, and you only have 10 attempts per day. So if you want to get it to like 17 or to 19, I don't know if you can make enough Dineros by then. Right.
But
if you want to work and get it to 17 after transposing, make sure you transpose it before. It's worth spending a little bit extra money, to get it transposed.
Okay. So that on Shining, so I have the Sweetwater pendant ready to go.
Yeah, then you'll have it like 15 because of post-transpose, and you just have to tap those last 2 stars,
Got you. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would say there's only like a 1 in 3-ish chance that you get it on the first day, or 1 in 4, somewhere in between there,
Yeah, something crazy.
Yes, I mean, there's I don't know if it was the last session or was someone in chat who was like, oh, the last 2 times I transposed I got on like the second and the third try, so I was like, oh, I'll just do it on the day, and then they ended up taking like 5 days or 6 days to transpose. Like, oh shit, I didn't know this could happen.
Oh god.
So if you're just always lucky, You know, there was a dude in chat who was like, "Oh, why aren't
Mhm.
your emblem and your secondary not 3-line attack?" And I'm like, "Dude, because it's like 40 bill, man. I don't have that money." And he's like, "Wait, what?" And I spent 2 bill, and I got both of them to 3-line. I thought that was effortless.
Oh.
I was like, "No, it's not."
It's just normal. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
normal. 2
Well,
bill. Where's
you
your
know,
streamer luck? Scardor?
someone
Come on.
else is normal, but
Damn.
not quite for me.
Okay. Yeah, that's good to know, though. I didn't know you were only allowed to transpose 10 times a day. That's
Yeah,
pretty
you
whack.
can't just keep going. That Pietreno guy is like, no,
Yeah.
I'm not fueling your addiction. Come back tomorrow. I'm cutting you
Well, at
off,
least
you know.
kind of helping the gamblers out there, you know,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
a little bit.
Just it's like that bartender who's like not letting you destroy your life.
Darn that bartender.
Yeah. Well, you need that guy sometimes, like keeping your keys or some shit. Yeah. Or I'm seeing. Yeah. Do you feel like Starforce wise, flame wise, cubing wise, you know where you're going and what the next steps are? These are like the 3 main ways, right?
Right. You know, yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess I kind of grouped them in like in terms of equips, like what equips they are and like are they worth like upgrading. So like Absol, obviously, like Absol I'm just keeping as is. Yeah, CRA gonna upgrade. The pots I'm okay with. I mean, eventually gotta get 3-line, right? Like that one guy in 2 bill, gotta get it in
I just
under
did that.
3 bill.
I will say
not
just
acceptable.
the last Starforce sale, the last cube sale, the last Friday, or not last Friday, the Friday before that, I did my my CRA on my DA and my arc finally to 3-line.
Dang,
So
that's crazy.
That's like where I put that upgrade, honestly. The only thing that comes after that is like 22ing arcanes. I 21 arcanes before I 3-line CRA, dude. Like,
Jeez.
it's just so inefficient. Like 27 is just so fine. That extra 3% just costs you so much. Like, ugh.
Yeah. But yeah,
24, 27, you can keep that for a long time,
yeah, it's okay for now, but I know eventually later on when I get into like the end game content, definitely gonna have to upgrade it. But again, I'm moving at a snail's pace. Like I'm chilling.
Exactly, yeah. That's far down the line. So that's mainly Starforce stuff, yeah.
Yep.
And then, yeah, you can't really go too hard on most of your accessories on the potential because they're going to be re-rolling or going to be booming, so or going to be transferring, right? So,
yep.
Use what you can get now, and then, but yeah, as long as you have 2-line now or like 3-line unique, that's all fine. And then you go harder on the tattoo because that stays a tattoo for a while, but then it probably stays 17 or maybe goes up to 19, maybe, and then probably Twilight Marks, hopefully come into play, and then plus Slime Ring, and then you can start getting into those. Yeah,
all that like pitch boss or like the end game boss gear sets and whatnot.
Yeah, so that part is the Dawn boss set, and then pitch boss is the starting at like hard Lotus, like the Berserk and
right.
I guess hard Lucid can drop the pendant as well, right? Sorry, the belt, but that one, that one doesn't really come into play until you have like 8 or 9 set, and you can like full switch out of Superior set, and then you need the Dawn set to come back, because then your Twilight Mark gets replaced by the Berserk. So then you need your second pendant to come in the Dawn pendant to make the 2 set bonus with the Slime Ring to.
Holy wait! I actually had no idea that's like that much more equipped like progression
because,
after.
because of 8. If you do 8 or 9 set pitch, the set bonus is just so good because there's critical damage in there. But mostly you need all the pieces at 22 as well. But because they're higher level, you can get better flames, way better bonus stats, higher tier potential, and then they can actually replace Superior Gollux, but only then. And then you are left with your secondary pendant slot being, like I said, because the Twilight Mark gets replaced, then your Slime Ring comes, is just all alone, and then even your strongest Transpose Sweetwater pendant should get replaced by the other guy, by the Dawn pendant, and then to reset that set bonus, But that final jump is, I mean,
that's
either super lucky, and you have to have some God Seed, or that's legitimately 3 to 4 years of just grinding those bosses.
Well, we've got all the time in the world,
right? We do.
Marathon.
Okay. So if you, I guess if you glance through your equip window, are there any slots or any pieces where you are, if you're thinking ahead on like the next steps, something that, question marks jump up, like how far do you go on something, or what is next after?
I mean, my immediate equip that's in mind, or like the upgrade that I'm working towards right now, is going to be the Sweetwater Pendant. I actually, I don't know if I put a picture of it in there, but I do have a reinforced Golix ring that I bought like maybe like a year, 2 years ago.
Yep.
Does that ever come into play, or because I've seen some people running it, but I guess in my mind I just don't know how that fits in. If that would become like a damage gear piece, like is that something I would have to worry about like relatively soon, or is it something that I do want to start working on now?
Yeah. So all of the 17-star rings are kind of in the same realm as the event rings. So if people already have event rings, it almost there's almost no point in spending any money on the reinforced ring, because it's not going to replace it unless you go to like 19.
Okay.
But let's say that you do have event rings and they all roll like drop and mezzo, and you're like, oh, okay, well now I actually want one for damage as well. Or you only have like 2 or 3 event rings, then you need to kind of use all the rings you can get. People are very, in general, people who min-max are very happy with the reinforced ring, because it's essentially a kind of treasure or a Meister ring with just better base stats. But the main thing that I try to caution people for is that I think the reinforced ring is good, and it can definitely be part of your, not the best in slot, but like the realistic best in slot for most people will have the reinforced ring in there if you get stuff up to 22. Those will be like slime, superior, and then reinforced, and then Ozring probably. But once you start with like endless terror, well, what's the first one that replaces that? Well, rip. Reinforced ring, you're out again, right? So
Gotcha. Okay.
Depending on how far you're gonna go. And then what I like more than a reinforced ring is just making a bunch of Meisters, because I have, I don't know, at this point like 150 primals, so I'm like just drowning in that shit. So I'd rather make a bunch of Meisters and have a ring that's like, I don't know, what is it, 4 attack and 3 stat lower or something. And then have all of my coins left over to make sure that I can get my superior to 21. And then when I have that, I can always circle back and like buy a bunch of reinforced and try to tap that for the extra stat. And then maybe the Meister's at 21, so maybe I try to make the reinforced 22 to make sure that it's a definitive upgrade. But that'll be your options, like, because I like the primals a lot, especially if you play a lot of different characters, because it's essentially like a tradable kind of treasure ring, right?
Yeah.
So we already have nothing that's transferable in equips, so that's a very valuable resource to have.
Right.
So, I don't want to underplay that it can be best in slot and it can be really good, but also I think it's probably been overhyped for the past few years, and it's okay to not be using it and to wait for the opportunity for it to shine, yeah.
Okay. All right. It's good to know.
Yep.
But yeah, primals, I think I got my first one yesterday on my Nightwalker. So it's like, oh, nice. Freaking can't get any of those.
Well, I mean, the primals are transferable, thank God, so...
Yeah.
I think my mom was at the point where she was just crafting Dominators with the primals for, like, characters, because she just couldn't get the Dominators to drop. But she had, like, like 30 primals or 40 primals, so she was like, oh, I'm just going to craft a Dominator. Like, yeah, I mean, kind of makes sense. Honestly, at this point, I would too. If you got 150, you might as well just make some Dominators for a character just to, to get transposed Sweetwater Pendant.
Yeah.
It's probably faster
Might
than
as well.
Dominator hunting from Arc every single day.
Yeah, once a day, or like multiple times, I guess, if you have different characters.
Well, that's the big way. If you want to scale up on your resources for primals and stuff, is just running it on more than one character. That's always better than, trying to crank out another 40% drop rate somewhere on an existing character. Just adding a new character, that'll increase your chances by more. And normal Arc is not that difficult of a boss to get to. Most characters now, like level 210, can just nuke it.
Yeah, I mean, he's super easy now after the changes. So.
Yeah. The barrier is even easier, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's a good idea, actually. Okay.
Yep. It could be a big project for like the next Shining that you're just loaded. Because now you'll probably end up with like hopefully a few 21s and then mostly like 19s and stuff. And then the next one will be like when you make like a huge jump. But hopefully by then, in between you'll be working on Arcanes. So by then you'll be like shifting towards 5 set Arcane. getting that to 17. But yeah, it seems like very impossible at this point, but going from 17 to 19 arcanes is also a relatively soon upgrade for you. Like within a year, you're going to have that.
Really?
Even at your pace, most likely, yeah. Just because 17 to 19, I mean, you can look at the calculator, but like 17 to 19 is very safe. You know, you don't need like 3,000 droplets and 16,000 bill. The average amount of booms, I mean, this is with shiny, but let's say just with the 5 and 15, like the average amount of booms is like below 1, and medium is 0. So for most of them are just gonna go, and then 1 is probably gonna boom. You know,
for some reason in my mind it was like, I guess it was always like, oh, if you need arcane, if you're gonna like get arcane to like a high Starforce, you need a ton of backups because.
Oh, sorry, that was without safeguard. So with safeguard, it's like 0.36. You know.
Jeez. Oh, okay. Actually, relatively, yeah. No, I could see why you say that now. That it's actually very reachable. Okay. Nice. Other future upgrade or projects to work on. It's good.
Yeah. Well, and it helps put them a little bit into context. Like they're not just so like ethereal, fucking out there. Like I'll never be able to reach that kind of thing.
Yeah. No, definitely makes it possible. That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think with that, definitely, I don't have any other like glaring questions, but I think you've definitely answered like a majority of them. It's good.
Okay. I was hoping for all of them, but I'll take a majority of them.
yeah, just missed a few.
Okay.
I'll go to Google.
Yeah, Google, check the commands, but then you have something to come ask tomorrow. You know, you need to be able to have something every day to come ask, right?
Exactly.
I won't leave you completely knowing everything. That'd be boring.
Yeah, I don't want to know how to play this game. I don't want to know how to min max.
Well, if it's a very specific thing, or you can't find it in the comments, you can always or in the commands. I mean, you can always just DM me on Discord, or just ask me when I'm streaming, and I'll do my best to get at you.
Yeah, of course. Always in chat.
All right. Well, good luck on everything. On the 11th, right? Make sure you mark your calendar if you haven't already. Everyone at home as well. 11th of December, Shining Starforce, 30% off, and 5, 10, 15 at the same time. Use the calculator to get an idea of what everything will cost so that you can start planning. Look towards the average if you're going to do a lot of things. Look closer to the median if you're only going to do one item, but I always look for a buffer kind of in between. So if you see like 4.8 and 7, I try to reserve like 6 point something to not get disappointed too much. But yeah, you got to take some number there. Okay. Well, Han, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're real welcome. And I'll see you in chat.
Yes, will do.
All right.
Alrighty. Bye.
Bye. Okie dokie. So, to everyone at home, hopefully the session was informational to you guys. Hopefully there was at least 1 or 2 things that you guys could pick up that I put down or that you didn't know already. If there's more stuff that you are wondering about, hopefully the general thought process that I go through was something that you could follow, and hopefully that helps you as well. Of course, as always, all of the commands that you see that I use, although I didn't use that many, because Han said he had already pretty good foundational grasp of a lot of the things, and when we went over the pictures, that also was my conclusion. You can always use those in the Twitch chat, so twitch.tv/Scardor. I stream there every day, and you can use those commands even when I'm offline, which is rarely. No, I'm offline quite a bit. And yeah, just jump in when you want to, tune in, ask any questions you want, and that's where you can find me. You can also get one of these sessions for yourself, one-on-one. Check the description of the video on how you want to do that, or use the coaching command, !coaching, in the Twitch chat. Also, make sure you leave a comment if you would like to win one of these sessions. Today will be the last session of November, which means that December is coming, which means I will draw 2 winners from the November sessions comment sections. 2 people will get a free session with me, just like this one, or completely different, but around the same length, and you guys can ask whatever question you want answered in that time. So if you want to win that, make sure you leave a comment that you would like to win. Please include your Discord name so I can reach out to you. And other than that, I thank you guys for watching. So either catch me live over at twitch.tv/Scardor, or I'll see you on the next video. Peace out. How much longer is the song? Man, this is some old Ludibrium, man. I remember when this area came out. I did so many PQs. And there was always like 2 level 35 assassins trying to join. And they would always jump down to the bottom with Darkside there. And if it was 2 of them, they would be fighting. And then one of them would always forget to use Darkside because he was going too fast. And then we would die to it. And I think if somebody died, you would just have to go out. Something weird. But yeah, that's an old memory from Ludibrium. Thanks for watching. Peace.